All right. So now that we have your appetite whet for what we do here, we're going to go back into an exercise. If you return to page 11 in your handbook right now, and if you don't have one, I have this available as a handout, so please raise your hand. 11 and 12, you will see where we can assess the quality of evaluations in our club. Again, for Saturday Morning Live members, you can use this for our club, if you will. Anybody else can use this? And there's one back there for Ruth who just came in. Hi, Ruth. And anybody else who needs this. So for Saturday Morning Live members, if you would plan to complete this evaluation of our club, and actually you can give it to our panelists, I'm going to have you all participate. You'll see it runs on a Likert scale, as they call it. So from positive areas, that start with the number 1 all the way down to 5. And just circle the number that you feel best assesses our club. If you're a guest from another club, if you would use this to assess your own club. And if you're in more than one, use it for your main club or your home club. On the back is some more where you can write details about what's going well, what's not going well. We're going to have about 9 minutes to do this. Then when we finish, we'll have you stop. And then we're going to move into a presentation by Mary Torno, where she will refer to this and talk more specifically about what we do with Saturday Morning Live. Yes?
There's one, describe what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is supposed to mean. I don't see that on the sheet.
So let's take the first area, emphasis. So you have a description there. The club emphasizes evaluation. So if you feel strongly about that, you're going to circle 1 or 2. If you feel on the other side of the scale that evaluations aren't given a high priority, then you're going to circle 4 or 5. So there's a positive attribute and a less positive attribute.
So the higher number is less positive.
Correct. If that corresponds to that side of the page. Everybody clear? Everybody have something to write with? All right. Oh, not with this. Horrible. Yes. Everybody, would you set up? Sure. To participate in that questionnaire. So again, 20 plus years in Toastmasters, and I'm still learning to take directions. So SML members, be prepared later on to share your questionnaire. We'll be using it, and we'll hear more about that from our next panelist. All right. Our next panelist is Mary Torno, Distinguished Toastmaster. Her home club is First St. Paul Toastmasters in White Bear Lake. And she's been in Saturday Morning Live for 10 years, her 10-year anniversary. Mary gets to use her evaluation skills outside of Toastmasters in her professional life, where she gives feedback to customers where she works at JCPenney. And she also gives feedback on the road of life to her grandchildren, in case they use feedback that way. Mary talked about one of the fun, or most ridiculous if you want to, areas that she had a chance to evaluate recently. And that would be flower bed contents. Now, she informed her husband Barry that Oli, Lena, and now Sven must be planted. They are residing as year-round residents of a kidney-shaped flower bed. And they are rose bushes. So you have to hear more about that from Mary later on. But today she's going to talk about how effective our evaluations here at Saturday Morning Live. Please welcome Mary Torno.
Club of Saturday Morning Live place a value on evaluations. Let's ask Robbie Rye when we look at his advertisements right in this sign. After all, he got this award for some reason, right, as being the best newsletter editor or provider in our district. And it says right here, Advanced Toastmasters Club, putting value in evaluations. Thank you, Robbie. And it's on all 3 pieces this month, and also on the website. Then I asked myself, does this propitious club do anything extra for evaluations? Yes, we do. We lay out the red carpet. And we invite our champion speaker, and the second champion speaker, and the third champion speaker to be present, and their guests to give us feedback, give them feedback as to how they can improve their evaluations. The third part was, did I have to look in the mirror to do this part of this presentation. Mr. Moderator, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most honored guests. As I thought about that, I looked at myself as a member of this club. And when I first came here, I thought 2 speakers a month times 12 equals 24. 24 speakers is what we have in this club a year. And then I began to evaluate. And I thought, wait a minute. 3 panelists times 2 is 6 times 12. My number is now 72.
Can't see it.
72 opportunities. Evaluate my vigils, would you? Thank you, Robbie. We have this all set up. Therefore, at least once a year with 20 members, I could speak. But as an evaluator, I could speak more often. I then had to take a look at what does this club do to make good evaluations. This club sends out 3 months in advance the speaker list. Thank you, our education president. You know 3 months in advance that you're going to speak. And you know 3 months in advance who your 2 team leaders are, providing there's no changes. Changes do occur. We then email at least 2 weeks prior to our speaking. We email to our evaluator what we hope to accomplish as a speaker. In a weekly club, we probably wait and do this when we come there that night. Is this a lesson for all of us? Then I looked from the standpoint of, we now have the standards in front of us, we know what we're going to do, and the evaluators in this club put a lot of effort because they start reading that email, and they start emailing back and forth to the speaker, or they start making phone calls. Think of the preparation that goes into the work of an evaluator. Not just the speaker, but the evaluator. This club is great at that. We set it up in advance, we do this. This is why we're called an advanced club. And then we even get down to not just what we asked to do in the CC manual, we go into our advanced manuals, and we take a look at that first manual and we say, well, okay, to me, I had visual aids. I've done visuals way back, 25 years ago. And I'm still learning how to do it correctly today. Each time, we put a little bit more emphasis on the detail of that feedback. Another great thing about this club is that we don't just look at the speaker. We look at the evaluators getting better. The evaluators are speaking within 10 minutes of that speaker. Think of the speaking skills you had to absorb before you could come up here and give that 3-minute speech. It's no longer table topics because that speaker wants to hear feedback that is going to move them forward. This is crucial for retaining members, but also bringing guests to come here. When you guests go back to your club, you say, would you please go visit Saturday Morning Live? And you bring that feedback back to your club, and that strengthens your club because of what you see in our panel of evaluators. Any evaluation needs to have some mushy part. I've emphasized the part that I thought is strength of our club. And I thought, I was in that mirror and I go, I'm talking about myself. I'm a member of this club. What is my weakness? As a weakness, I realized that sometimes I say the same thing as the other panelists just said when I give the feedback. That's not necessary. The audience has already heard it once. They don't need to hear it twice or 3 times. So as a panel member, I need to make sure that I don't repeat what the other speaker said. Occasionally we hear that in our club. Occasionally I do it. I thought, well, that's just a little something. Then there was the other second little thing. And I realized this was kind of painful. Because I joined Toastmasters because I no longer heard the word criticism. I'd heard it for years from my mother. And when I came to Toastmasters, it was no longer called criticism. Criticism is a very negative word. You heard our moderator use the difference between feedback that allows you to prove methods of improvement versus criticism. We will no longer see that word at Saturday Morning Live called criticism. We will see, as our district governor said, opportunities for improvement. We will see methods of changes. Those are words that we need to use. Feedback that brings us forward, both as an evaluator and as a speaker. The third item that I'm going to mention about in my Oreo cookie or my peanut butter, whichever sandwich you like or whichever cookie you like, it's the mushy part. This is hard. We have a tendency to make an evaluation of who's speaking. And the evaluation is something like this. Keith is a better speaker than I am. So you may think. Therefore, when you give the feedback to Keith, you give better methods. Well, Mary's never going to be a speech contestant winner, so we won't give her the best methods for improvement. That takes some serious thought. Because we want to always think of ourselves as doing this correctly, and we are the best in the district. Are we the best? I asked myself that one time when I was an area governor. I went to do a visit, and I asked a stranger to give a feedback on my speech. That is the best feedback I have ever received. Total stranger gave me a method that has helped me to this day. And I thought, do we really stand out as the best club in that area of feedback? I'm here to challenge you, myself included, that we need not to categorize which speaker is speaking. We should always approach our position as an evaluator that we want that speaker, whomever it is, to be the best in the world. We are in an organization that is worldwide. We want that presenter to be the best in the world. Not just the best at Saturday Morning Live, not just the best in the district, but the best in the world. Because you know, folks, I speak to people every day that I will never see in the Toastmasters Club. But I want them to have the best feedback that will make them the best person in the world. And I speak to people from all over the world at JCPenney and Rosestown. Then I look at it from the standpoint of the lesson I learned when I don't judge whether this speaker is better or not happens in my own family. I take care of my grandchildren. And I watch them now participate in the Honor Society. 9.5 years ago when I started taking care of that grandchild, I thought, what could I say and do that would help her be the best student, the best person she could be in the world? I would have loved to have you all put on the screen this morning the lunch or the dinner I had with her at Baker Square last night, 10 years later. Was I pleased with that grandchild? Not just because of Grandma, but because of who she is. And that's what you want to happen up here, to the speaker and to the evaluators, who they are, be the best they can. I asked you to fill out the evaluation sheets. How many on the first thing of emphasis gave Saturday Morning Live? I'm talking to the members now. You can go back to your clubs that are guests and give this feedback to them. How many put down number 1 as emphasis for feedback on that? How many put down 1? You see, you are now reaffirming what I stated earlier in my speech. The other part was standards. How many put down 1 or 2 at least as members for that? Again, we're emphasizing it. There wasn't a question that directly associated itself with the part I talked about, the mushy part. But you can find it on the chart. And you can put your recommendations for improvement on the back as members. And you can hand it to us. Now you say, Mary, what did you really mean when you said about there were 72 times I could be an evaluator? I put so much emphasis on that I decided I'd never get what Roger got or what Ches got. I'm sorry, dear, I forgot your name. I was Toastmaster when she won a contest. I love that face, it's a smile. But I took home for our division 3rd place for evaluation. When you go back to your club, you can change to 1st place. When you evaluate, always be 1st place.